Yes, it's Hollie's Hotspurs back with another one. Chatting all things Tottenham, we're second to none. Special guests every time, if it's win, lose or draw. The passion is high like Harry Kane when he scores. Or when Lloris makes a world-class save. We got Hollie running the mid every game. Settle down, stick around, share your thoughts with the panel. And make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Coys.
Hello and welcome to another Hollie's Hotspurs live, where once again we're having a good old therapy session because Tottenham have ruined our weekend. It seems like the normal at the moment, to be honest. But with me tonight, I do have at the moment Connor. Connor, welcome to the channel. It's great to have you. I'm just so sorry we have to talk about another defeat.
No, that's fine. Cheers for having me. Yeah, I mean it's the same all the time at the minute, isn't it? It's just where do you start? Where do you start? Honestly, there's just so much. Just done with it. Just done with it. Honestly.
I know, but luckily for us, we have 45 minutes to try and delve into everything. Hopefully, we will have some other people joining us very shortly. There's no Finley tonight, but hopefully, when Ryan, I'm guessing he's probably eating his dinner. When he finishes dinner, hopefully he'll come and jump on. But hey, it doesn't matter. We've got us two to sort of mix and go through everything. And everybody else in the chat, I mean, Faz is a bundle of joy. He's depressed after 2 must-win defeats, and both at home as well, which is quite depressing as well. So let's just kick things off. I think we need to delve straight into, obviously, the starting 11. It was no surprise to me that, obviously, Emerson and Reguilon were dropped. Maybe a bit more concerned that Reguilon was dropped, but I wasn't... surprised that Emerson was dropped. So how are you kind of feeling that obviously the likes of Doherty and Sessegnon were brought into the side?
I think, like you say, Emerson had to be dropped. No doubt about it. He's been so off it recently. Well, I say off it recently. He's never really been on it in reality. I mean, you look at it, and again, bringing Doherty in, we haven't really got another right back. I mean, Jaff can play there, but Jaff's been out, so it's what do you do, you know? So understandable bringing Doherty in. As for bringing Sess in, I was more shocked as well, the fact that he sort of dropped Reguilon. But I think, I mean, Sess needs minutes, but it shows that Sess he couldn't, well, you know, he took him off after, 27 minutes or something. Do you know what I mean? So clearly that says that we've got issues on the fullback side of things, both sides really, you know? So, yeah, I was a bit surprised with Reguilon, but yeah, I think, it was necessary, but it didn't work anyway. So.
No, that's the thing. I mean, it's interesting, like you say, as well, obviously, because Sessegnon came off. And I think that was because, obviously, the formation wasn't working because, like you say, we kind of have those two wing-back positions that we haven't got quality in. So we can't really play the way Conte wants to play. And I did feel really sorry for Sessegnon. I don't know how you kind of felt. Did you kind of feel the same way to take him off, sort of thing?
Yeah, you feel awful for him. Do you know what I mean? He's a young lad, you know, no one ever wants to be brought off that early in a game. And the fact that he hasn't had many minutes for us to take him off that early is horrible. But the one thing I will say, a lot of credit to the fans for clapping him off. You know, that as hard as it was for him, it was good that everyone sort of tried to support him with that. But you could see he was upset. So you feel really bad for him, but you can see that Conte thought it was the right thing to do. But obviously it didn't really make much of a change anyway. But.
No, because that's the thing. Because obviously, I'm probably lots of people know on the channel as well. I say I don't big Emerson up, but I say he does the hard thing, and that is getting into the right position to make that cross. But he doesn't have that cross in his locker, and it's really annoying that I feel Doherty is the same way. I don't know how he managed to do it at Wolves. That's the thing for me. He could do it at Wolves. He just can't do it at Tottenham. Now, I know Alan says here, what will it take for us to have a winning mentality? Do you think it's because those wing backs in the kind of sense haven't necessarily been in a team that can win? Obviously, I know Wolves came up from the Championship, this, that, and the other. But again, we don't have Doherty isn't necessarily a winner. Could that be maybe a reason why as well?
Definitely, 100%. I mean, without having a dig, we haven't got any winners on our team. Do you know? We haven't. You know. So that's where you've got a problem in itself. You can have as many backups as you like, but if you haven't got any players who can come in and offer any sort of competition for them, then when you bring someone else in, it does no difference. So yeah, I think it definitely plays a part. But again, the other part is just the quality itself, and the rest of the squad must look at it. I'm not going to come on here and bash off Daniel Levy because everyone could say all sorts of things about that. But you know, you look at it, and there was all this, even the Traore stuff, this, that, the other, and we haven't, like you say, Conte uses those wing backs, and we haven't brought anyone in when we know already that Emerson and Doherty aren't good enough. So, yeah, it's 100%. When you've got a winning manager and you haven't got players that have won, it's not good. It's not. And Conte can mould players, but I don't think they're good enough.
No. And that's the thing. You can, I don't really know what the saying is, but there's only so much you can polish something up. And I don't think these players, I think they're at the extent that they can be polished up, if that makes sense. It's interesting what Alan says here. He's saying, like you've said, that we don't really have that right wing back option that's better than the other one. And that also goes to say that for both the Saints game and this Wolves game, we just got swamped in midfield. Now, obviously, as you can tell from behind me, I was Winks' biggest fan, and he's currently stuck on a dartboard. So from his performance at the weekend, I think, especially because we'll go into it for the first goal, he didn't at all decide to go and win the ball off of Neves. He gave Neves so much space, and that allowed him to take that shot in. So do you think as well it's that midfield option and maybe the way that it can't control the midfield? Because every single game, when we play those wing backs, we just get swamped every single game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think the midfield is the massive problem in itself, because that's controlling it. You're going forward, you're going backwards, you're covering when the wing backs are going forward. So 100%. I mean, I think it was on Match of the Day the other day. They were chatting about the record. I think it was having Højbjerg and Skip together, and I don't think we conceded a single goal having Højbjerg and Skip as in the middle. Again, I could talk. I love Skip. I could talk so much about Skip. We miss him immensely. So the midfield is, again, we could talk about the wing backs, but yeah, the midfield is a massive issue because Bentancur looked okay, but Winksy, yeah, I could defend Winksy, but I can't for that because it just gave the ball away way too much, and that's, like you say, especially when you're leaving Neves space. We know how good Neves is at playing balls through. Well, you're picking out a pass, at causing a threat, and you can't do that. So yes, massive issue.
It really is. And like I say, that I don't want to bring fault on Hugo, but I feel like you have to, especially in that game, because I just don't know what went wrong, because he's been so consistent up until now. It's probably because I bigged him up, but I'm getting that new contract. But Hugo, especially for the first effort, Neves takes a shot. It's a good save. So it pings back out. And obviously the second shot, I don't know why in his mind he hasn't gone to catch it, because it's just, to me, it's an easy catch. And instead he decides to fist it out with two hands. What do you think was kind of going on with his mind? Did you think that his defenders were going to clear it? Or do you think, actually, I can't make this catch? Was he kind of stuck in two minds, do you think?
I think he was panicking, to be honest. Yeah, I think he was unsure of what to do there. So naturally, his first instinct, I imagine the first instinct for all keepers is to parry it. Whenever the ball comes in from a corner, all they're doing, parry it, knock it away straight away. Yeah, so he just panicked, I guess, and parried it. But listen, I don't want to slate Hugo too much, because I feel like it could have been a lot worse. Honestly, he made a lot of big saves as well, and he saved us a lot. And I get that it was a massive mistake to make, but I feel like his ability and his saves at times outweigh his mistakes. So I can look past it, but it was inexcusable. It wasn't good. No.
Especially that early on as well. I mean, Kev's kind of trying to defend Lloris and said that he's been on the red one with Raymond Vega. And to be fair, Raymond does like his wine, so he probably has given him Lloris a cheeky swig. But again, like you say, it's very rare that Lloris makes a poor error like that. And then for it to happen again in the same game, only I feel it's like 10, 20 minutes later. It's just, I just don't understand it. The way that he's obviously put Sessegnon in such a bad position to try and clear the ball. Again, was it panic stations again for him, do you think, for that incident for the second goal? Yeah.
Again, the panic stations 100%. I think I don't want to be too overly critical of the defence, but I feel like, especially for Lloris, who has been here for such a long time, he probably looks at the fence, and we can all sit here and rave about Romero endlessly. He is quality. But when you've got Dav, who, I don't want to slate him too much, but he's always got a mistake in him. Yeah. And then you've got Davis, who has been reliable, but he's still maybe still adjusting to that centre-back role. I know that Conte loves him in that position. When in a situation like that, he probably doesn't feel comfortable. So naturally he's panicking. He's just got to get it out. And obviously he messed up. So no, I think definitely just panic stations there. Yeah.
I want to say thanks to John. Yes, John, they're available, and thank you for your kind donation. I really do appreciate it. So thank you very much, John. They are now live. So if anybody else fancies it, please do go ahead. But no, it's interesting as well, because I know we spoke just before we came on that obviously you're talking about the defence and the back line, and how obviously Lloris is probably having a lapse of concentration, worrying about those players in front of him. How strange is it to think, wow, we need Eric Dyer next to Romero? How insane is that?
Honestly, every single Spurs fan could tell you, this at this period now, we never would sit here and go, Eric Dyer, we really need Eric Dyer. It is crazy how much we need him, big time. It's weird because obviously he was a bit pally with Mourinho, but I wouldn't say he pulled up any trees really under Mourinho. But even when Nuno come in, he was solid, and then under Conte loves him. Like, we miss him so much, which is crazy because he was so far off that. So. Yeah, it is mental. It is mental, and we need him. We really need him. I will hold my hands up, and we are so desperate for him right now.
100%. I think. Do you think that will change the defense? I mean, I know we spoke about it briefly, but do you think that will make a huge difference? Definitely having him back to sit alongside Romero, or do you think maybe those wing backs, regardless of who we have in the centre, having those lack of good ability wing backs, do you think that will cause a problem still in itself?
Yeah, the wing backs issue is something that we won't fix until the summer. We're going to have to, unless Conte can, he's pulled masterclasses before, but unless he can pull a masterclass, I can't see that being fixed. I think I'm not sure if we've even had Dyer and Romero next to each other before. I may be wrong, but that would, for me, that would fix the issues that lied with us on Sunday, and in general, it would mean when the wing backs are going forward, and if they're exposed, you've got more cover, you've got more protection anyway. Dyer being there, Romero's very good carrying the ball. Dyer being there allows him to feel free to carry the ball, and we've still got that solid protection. Someone like Dav is, every time he's on the ball, you get a little bit worried. Davis, again, as I say, he's reliable, but he's yeah, definitely. It will fix that. But as I say, the wing back issue is something that, unless Conte can pull a Victor Moses on one, transforming him in the middle of the season, we're helpless on that for now, I think.
I mean, I quite like, I'll come back to John in a minute. I quite like that Kev said the central in three, he's vital for organising the back line, and he speaks Spanish, so it helps Romero, who can't speak English at all. I mean, that is something that we kind of go over our heads. These guys are human. And having someone that speaks the same language of you probably does help a lot as well.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I mean, Romero is still a new recruit. He's not even been here a full season. So having someone next to you who can chat to you on a more personal level is always going to be brilliant. It's all about the friendships. Sonny and Kane, when they thrive together, they're mates. You can see it. They're smiling. They're loving it. Hopefully Dyer and Romero will have that. But I think if we do have Dyer and Romero together, we're still going to need another centre back in the summer, 100%. But yeah, we miss him immensely, honestly, which is crazy.
It is mad. I mean, we'll just go back to obviously Hugo Lloris, because John's fizzed in another super chat. Thank you, John. We need a new goalkeeper. Lloris is past his sell-by date. Now, only a few weeks ago, I was talking about how Lloris, like Raymond Vey would say, he ages with like fine wine. He gets better as you get older. But I think this is just kind of a blip. Now, would you want to go out in the summer and try and recruit a younger goalkeeper, or do you think we have bigger problems in this squad than getting rid of Hugo Lloris?
John, this is so for me, 100%. We need to go and recruit a younger goalkeeper. We need to have someone slowly bleeding in, ready for when Lloris goes. But yeah, I'm with you 100%. We have bigger problems. I think Lloris, for me personally, I still think Lloris is top 5 in the Prem. He is quality. He has his mistakes, but he makes up for it more than he doesn't. The issues are much bigger. I think Galini is not a number 2. I think Galini will go back to Atalanta. I think it's only a loan. I think he'll go back to Atalanta. Yeah, but 100%, we need a second keeper. There's been rumours consistently about Sam Johnston, West Brom, but we probably need someone a bit younger. Yeah, we do need someone lined up, but as you say, 100%, we've got bigger issues going on at the minute. I think we should park the keeper for now if the budget says we can't go and get one because we need to sort out elsewhere.
and we all know that budget isn't very big. But no, it's interesting you say that, and like Kev says as well, like we need a second keeper. Like you said, Galini for me, that man flaps at the ball far too many times.
Yeah.
So he's not a number 2. It'd be nice, like you say, to bring in a younger recruited goalkeeper so Lloris can teach him the ways. I think that would probably be a nicer way to obviously see the likes of Lloris out. Like I said, I think we've got bigger problems to fight at the moment than saying bye-bye to Lloris. But I want to talk a little bit about, I know we touched on it, but obviously Bentancur. Now, for me, I think I was more excited about Kuleveski coming in, but seeing the way that Bentancur is just coming into the team as soon, I think it was it the Wolves game? No, he started the Wolves game. I think it was the Saints game. Initial impact. And for the Wolves game, the way he's so consistent on the ball, and he's only played 2 games. For you, is he the most exciting signing for you, or is it Kuleveski?
I'm gonna say Kuleveski. I think Bentancur's come in and like you say, he's slotted in straight away, which is crazy because you've had mixed things about him. A lot of people are saying, oh, he's just a part player at Juve. He never did anything special. But I think especially when we're letting Lo Celso and Ndombele, I know they've only gone on loan, but we're letting them go. We needed someone. So he's slotted in and it's brilliant. He's picking out a pass forward. He's comfortable. He's assured on the ball. But Kuleveski, for me, the things I've heard, he's young. He's hungry. I'll tell you what, there was a great thread on Twitter by, I think it was Tactical Role, and it discussed what Kuleveski can offer. And he's not just this player who'll be going on the wing and doing this. He can play in that central role, the creative role that we've needed, that we've missed so much since Eriksen left. So I'm very excited by him, and I feel like yesterday when he came on, he was all right. I think he offered something, but he can't control the ball. I feel like he needs to get better at controlling the ball, maybe. But yeah, I'm excited by him. Not that I'm not excited by Bentancur, but yeah, Kuleveski, I think he could be a world beater. And if he's especially a player that Conte wanted, then honestly, it'll be exciting.
All good for it. I mean, that's the thing, because lots of people saying that he wasn't wanted at Juventus, but I think anybody that leaves Juventus is half decent anyway. So I think in that kind of sense, we kind of need to be excited for it. And I like the fact you obviously mentioned his versatility, because I think at Spurs, we kind of lack that in a sense that we don't have an option off the bench to just, right, we need someone to come in instead of Kane, because he can play up top, or right, we'll take Lucas off and put Kuleveski on. I mean, Darren here says, could his lack of pace worries me? I don't think he is a winger. I mean, it's quite an interesting take. Obviously, from the stands and things, I think you can see a bit more of the game. And I know that you obviously at the game on Sunday. So did you notice Kuleveski's lack of pace, or was it just kind of unnoticed for you? Did you not really?
No, I think Darren, I think you're right. Yeah, I don't think he's got a lot of pace. I don't think he's if you're playing him on the wing, he's not your conventional winger. I think that he will be moulded into that central role. I think he will play that cam role. He'll again, even Lucas sometimes moves in there as well. Lucas is a lot faster. He's a different player, but I think Kuleveski will be used in a different way than he's been advertised. Yeah. Even like Ross is saying as well. Yeah, 100%. I feel like, as much as everyone says, we're another winger, this, that, the other, we have got wingers. We're forgetting Bergwijn. We've got we kept Bergwijn after the Leicester game. You know what I mean? We've got the wingers. I just feel that we haven't seen it yet because it will take time. But Kuleveski will maybe likely go in that number 10 role, or yeah.
I mean, it'd be quite interesting because that means Kane could play as a striker and not having to keep sitting back as a number 10.
Yes, honestly. But this is the thing. This is so Mourinho, under the Mourinho period, it was very sort of obviously massively controversial. A lot of people angry about the football, this, that, the other. But you look at Harry Kane's stats, not just on the goals, but on the assists as well, everything he'd done. He can play that deep role so well. But like you say, I think if you're going to do that, you need Son firing. And as much as I think Son's our top goal scorer this season, he's not been firing at the same level. Kane's not been firing at the same level. No one has really. So yeah, so he can be good in that deep role, but I'm 100% with you. If he can stay up top, please, honestly,
for it,
because he's deadly at finishing. But that's you need to utilize him in that position. But he's very good at playing through ball as well.
100%, and I think that's the thing that's really infuriating, because we have a top goal scorer in Kane, and it was at the weekend as well, obviously Bentang, I'll say his name so bad, but Bentancur, there we go. He threaded that lovely ball through to Sonny, and you just think to yourself, Sonny, keep going. And he seems to slow down. It's almost like he hasn't got the confidence anymore to ping that ball straight away. And I don't know whether that's because he's been out for a little bit. What do you kind of think? Do you think it's still there? He just needs to get back into his flow of the game? Because it was such like a lovely ball through that you think, so that's in the back of the net. But he just kind of slowed himself up. And then by that time, Wolves got their shape back again.
Yeah, I think you make a brilliant point there. Yeah, I think it's confidence. I think it's confidence across the squad, to be honest. And I know it sounds mental saying that. You know, after that win against Leicester, everyone was booming. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, how have we pulled that off?" The confidence is rampant. You know, but I think in general, it's not. There's a lot of nervousness. There's a lot of there is something wrong going on. You know, yeah, there is something wrong there, and I think with Sonny again, I just think still is our top goal scorer. So he has been scoring, he has been but he's been off it 100%, like you say. The confidence, usual Sonny gets through back of the net easy, but there's something missing there. Whether that's like you say, he's just come back, or whether it's the confidence in general. I think it's the confidence. I think the confidence across the squad is very low right now.
And it's interesting as well. I mean, it's quite funny, Kip, because I'm probably the same. If I'm through on goal and I've got so much time, and then I will muck it up. Maybe it is that. Maybe he's just got that killer instinct with when he's got no time to think about it. Bang! It's in the back of the net. Because he did have quite a bit of time when that ball was fed through. But I think it is just a confidence thing. And I just want to quickly go to Spurs_GP with the 3-4-3: Davies, Dyer, Romero, Bergwijn, Bentancur, Højbjerg, Cully, Son, Kane, Lucas. What's your kind of thoughts? I mean, that's quite a interesting lineup, with a sense of obviously no Skip in there, and I already know that Skip's your boy. So what's your kind of thoughts on that?
I don't know. You know what? I mean, maybe Spurs GP is onto something there. I mean, I personally, I suppose he's looking at having sort of Bergwijn and Kulu as the wingers, and then you got the three up top. Yeah, for me, I'm sorry, Skippy's got to start. Skippy is you cannot look at a team personally and not have Skip in there. He does everything. So much comes from him. He'll pick up the ball, he'll move forward with it. He protects that defense so much. So already this might be controversial, but I would, if you're going to start if you want to start Bentancur, you got to drop Højbjerg 100%.
And to be fair to you, I mean, as much as I like the Viking, his distribution recently has been really, really poor. He seems to pass it straight to the other team. So I like what you're saying in the sense of obviously Skip, because we've seen it when he played for Norwich. We've seen him as he's filtered through at Tottenham, that he has got a killer pass on him. If he needs to have one, he will spray the ball across. Do you think maybe it's too soon to keep introducing him, or do you think he's ready? He's good enough. Fizz him in.
Oh, he's ready. No doubt about it. I think he's ready. I think Nuno liked him. Nuno was playing him a lot. I think Conte likes him as well. Conte has been using him. I think he's ready. I don't want to hype him up. I don't want to do this, and it comes back and bites me. But I think he is quality. I think we cannot start a game in midfield without him there. So already with that team that was said, I definitely have Skippy in there. The Kula and Bergwijn are very interesting ones, because sometimes I feel like Bergwijn hasn't been given enough of a chance, which is maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, again, Kulu on the wing, it might be better to have Kulu more central. You could swap him with Lucas. You could do that. I don't know. I mean, again, we're not going to get anyone in until the summer. So if Conte wants to experiment, he can do it. I've got so much faith in him. He can do whatever he wants as long as it works. I don't mind. Yeah.
And that's the thing, because as much as I feel, obviously, I thought it was a decent starting lineup, because I thought, right, Doherty's got a point to prove, Sessegnon's got a point of view prove, but it just didn't seem to click. And then straight away, although we felt sorry for Sessegnon, he changed it up, and then it slowly started to work again. But again, obviously, by that time, we were obviously two goals down. So I'm with you in that kind of sense. We need to give Conte the willpower to go and just pretty much do what he wants. I mean, Darren says that team that GP's put in, he sees a lot of goals, but for the opposition. I mean, maybe. I think, it's quite difficult. I mean, especially where, like you say, I don't think Bergwijn and Cully are really wing backs, and we would need them if we're playing three at the back. So I think that's my only big worry. Ross here said he and Winks want to back pass a lot. Benter's first game, he looks up and bombs perfect pass up to Lucas. I mean, that, like I say, is the thing that really, really interests me with Bentancur. He's not afraid to fizz, and he's only been here for 2 games. I think that's the thing that I'm really, really excited about. I mean, Alan said Skip and Bentancur have to be in the middle. I would put Kula in the middle too. Alan's on the same wavelength as you there, Connor. So there you go.
Alan, I like that. I think, to be honest, in my starting lineup, I'm not sure I would put Kulu in yet. As I say, I'm excited by him, but I feel like I'm a massive Lucas fan. I love him to bits. Honestly, I feel, you know, we can forget Amsterdam. We can just talk about Lucas in general and say that he is, for me personally, he's been underrated so much by our fan base, and especially when we've been struggling, he's always been that guy willing to bomb forward, willing to do something with the ball. So for me, even if he's been slightly off it of late, I wouldn't have him out the team. But definitely, I want to see, Skip and Bentancur, why not? And then if it doesn't work, we could try Skip and Højbjerg again, because it did work. As I say, that stat that was like under the games under Conte, Skip and Højbjerg in the middle, we hadn't conceded a goal onto Conte, which is mental.
It is, and hopefully we can kind of get back to that. But again, it's just our own mistakes that cause, and I mean, I've said this so many times this podcast, no matter what happens, it's always our own mistakes from certain players or as a collective that kind of let us down. And that was the same kind of theme against Wolves. What was I going to say? Ravi's come up here with a question. Is Conte playing players in their right position? I mean, weeks ago, he's playing Doherty out on the left, so that would be a no. But again, I think like you've kind of alluded to already, Connor, he's just trying to experiment, because at the moment, I don't think we've really found, even now, the best players to play in the right select positions. Would you kind of agree, or do you think he's got certain players that he knows he's always going to play week in, week out? Obviously, Bar, Son and Kane.
Yeah, I think, like you say, he's trying to experiment. He's trying to figure out what is right. And I think specifically when he was playing Doherty at left back, which was a very unusual, left wing back, it was a very unusual decision to be making. I think he was looking at, and obviously I think Reggie was out injured or something. So I think it was a matter of either Cess was out or he didn't want to use Cess. So naturally that was the next best thing. But yeah, he probably wanted to see if Doherty could do it that side. I mean, unfortunately he can't. But yeah, I think, but we could say that again. I'm going to go back to it again. But the Moses thing, everyone thought Moses was a winger when he was at Chelsea, and Conte converted him to that, not just as a right wing back, but he was so solid in that title winning team for them. So if Conte wanted to convert Kane to a centre mid, do you know what? I'd let him do it, because again, I think we're not going to get any bigger than Conte in charge of Tottenham, and we have to throw everything behind him, especially when things are like they are now. And again, because we're not going to get anyone till the summer, Conte probably most likely will experiment a lot more. And even what you said about the team that was put out, for me, I looked at that team and I was like, I've got no complaints with that. 100% drop Emerson, 100% drop Højbjerg. I was behind it, just unfortunately it didn't work.
Right. And it is interesting that he will do that, because again, he wants to be a winner and he wants to install that into these players. And if you're not performing, that's it, you're out the team. It's just a shame we don't obviously have the utility, like the players that are able to then step up when they're called upon. But that's another kind of chat in itself. John again, man, it's smashing the cash tonight. Thank you very much. He says my best team would be Lloris, Rodon. Oh wow, we're really going for it tonight. The only problem with me, I want to talk about this actually. It's interesting you brought him up, John, and that is Rodon, because we haven't seen him under Jose much. We didn't really see him under Nuno. And we haven't seen him really at all under Conte. Now, for me, that's quite a worrying sign. Is Rodon really up to Tottenham scratch? Because he doesn't seem to get in any of these managers' team. And we've had 3 of them. So what's your kind of thoughts on him?
First of all, John, I love how different that team is. I would never have gone for that at all. Pascozzi, I know he's a young player. I know he's raved about a little bit. What you're saying about Rodon, I think it's such a tough one, because Mourinho didn't want to use him. Nuno didn't really want to use him. I like the guy. He was brilliant at Swansea. He's young, but something ain't right there. And I don't want to say it's an attitude thing, because I can't imagine it would be. I just think that maybe they don't think he's good enough. But then if he's not good enough, why have we not flogged him in January? Why is he still sitting at the club? Why have we not loaned him out? We're not using him. He's just sitting there, and it's a shame, because again, Welsh fans will tell you they rave about Roden all the time. Like, so it's just so baffling that he's not used. So I would like to see him use Roden. I would, and then we can all have a bit more clarity on whether it's worth keeping him or selling him. But maybe there's something on the training pitch. Maybe Conte, along with Mourinho and Nuno as well, was looking at it and saying he's not up to scratch on the training pitch. So it's such an odd one. It's a really odd one. Definitely why he's not used, especially when we have the defensive problems we have. So.
Exactly. Why don't you just throw him in the mix and see what happens? Because
honestly,
it's a mess as it is already. But no, it is quite interesting. I want to ask you as well, because obviously it's floating around at the minute, and it definitely was floating around during the January transfer window. And that is, do you feel that if things keep going the way they're going, could Conte walk before the summer, or do you think that's kind of dead and buried now? Because obviously we got those 2 players in, and we got rid of players in the January transfer window that weren't really working for him or weren't really showing their love for Tottenham, if that kind of speaks. Obviously, I talk about Dele and the others, so to speak. Do you think that kind of thought of him leaving before the summer is gone now?
That is such a hard question. Honestly, I don't want to answer it. I think, as you say, bringing in Bentancur and Kudu, I think that's probably enough for him to say that he's had some form of backing, and especially the fact that he might have wanted some of the deadwood gone, which is why Ndombele and Gio went. Obviously Ali as well. Obviously Gil is not up to scratch at the minute. He needed that loan move. I think personally, Conte, as much as he's not afraid to walk, I don't think he'll walk before the summer. I just don't. I feel like he's taken on a project here that is nothing like he's ever done anywhere else, and he'll want to see that out. And again, I hope I'm right, because it wouldn't surprise me if he did walk. Yeah. I think Ross has got a great point. Yeah, I think he'll want to see how that transfer window goes, and if he's not backed, then he'll look at it and he'll go, that's it. I can't deal with it. But then he's not afraid to criticize. What he said recently. What did he say? He was like, he said, I've never had this problem at other clubs in terms of fighting for top 4, because he's always been at clubs that are,
winner.
Do you know what I mean? So again, it's that whole new project thing. It's just, if he is going to get that back in, again, like Ross said, if he's not going to get that back in the summer, I would say he'll walk in the summer after transfer window. I mean, when he walks from Inter. So no, I hope he stays. I really hope he does. Yeah.
Just have to wait and see. But I think, I don't think now. I would like to think he's not going to walk. If he's going to walk, it'll be the summer when he doesn't get what he wants. Because that's what I thought was going to happen in January. He's not going to get who he wants. He's not going to get out the players that he wants to get rid of, and it's just going to be a waste of time him being there. But it's interesting, like you say, if he gets those players in the summer, hopefully he stays. And I think we are lined up for a big summer in a sense. Obviously, we need that right wing back if we're going to play that system. We need, I don't know how many times I've been saying it, we need not necessarily a backup striker, but a striker that can play if Kane is not. Because how many times have we been in the sticky situation where Kane's injured and that's it, we've got no one? What's your kind of thoughts on that? Do you feel like that's been something we have needed for so long? I mean, I'm not necessarily on about a backup striker, because we all know the saying, no one's going to want to play behind Harry Kane, blah, 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 blah. But why not play them both at the same time? Could that be something to add in the mix?
You are so right on that, honestly. Seriously, I cannot stress enough this backup striker thing. And again, people will make the argument of no one will want to play behind Harry Kane. But yeah, 100% you can play someone with Kane. You could try that system. Or this is what gets me, Arsenal, right? So I remember Arsenal, I can't remember who come in first. I think Lacazette come in first, then Aubameyang come in, right? So if they can afford to have 2 very, very good strikers, I mean, they probably pay astronomical wages for them, so it doesn't help, and that's not our model. If they can do that, if clubs can do it, why can't we do it? Why can't we try it? Again, we could try the 2, or Llorente. When we had Llorente was, I know he was that sub, and I know he wasn't perfect, and he was so useful. It was useful having him when we were missing Kane in that period in the Champions League. He come in, did the job. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's so pivotal. And Dane Scarlett, for me, a lot of people say he's very young. He needs a loan move. He needs minutes. It's worked for Kane. Why can't it work for him? And then you do that, you free up that position. Parrott, with Parrott, it's looking like he's not going to get in. I don't know. Maybe this loan moves his final one and he'll be given a chance. But we need someone, because when you're relying on Harry Kane week in, week out, and I'm his biggest fan, I love him to bits. He's got no competition. So when he's not firing, we're not firing. You need to be able to offer something to. I'll tell you what, it works with England. Even when he's in that England squad, I know we will rest him, but he will come off. He will get Southgate will switch it around. So we just need something, even if it is like a Llorente, just someone who can come in maybe even in the last 10 minutes of a game to try and offer a different challenge, you know?
Yeah, and it is interesting you say it, because we've sat here so many times and said the same thing. There's been so many transfer windows and we've still got one striker. And like you say, Dane Scarlett definitely needs a loan move, I feel, 100%. Parrott, like you say, I think it's his last hurrah, I think, at MK. I just don't think, maybe again it's an attitude problem. I don't know. I'm just maybe pulling at straws, but it seems to not be working at Tottenham. So yeah, I think another striker is definitely what we need. I mean, a backup striker, a 30+ championship striker would take 40k a week, sit on the bench. There must be loads. I mean, Mitrovic, he's banging them in at Fulham at the moment. I think he is legit on 30+ goals. That man is madness. The same with Ross. Too bad Vinicius had such a big price tag on him. I mean, again, like Vinny, when he's crossing his arms at obviously those league ones. what a geezer. But again, it just baffles me that we haven't decided to go and do that. But there we go. It is what it is. So hopefully the transfer window in the summer is looking nice. I mean, I'd briefly talk, because obviously it's quite nice that you're here. I know we've spoken about the Wolves game slightly, but what was your kind of thoughts on the outs in that transfer window? Obviously, I think the biggest one is obviously Dele Alli. For me, I think it was time. I think it was too late. I think we should have got rid of him a season or two before. But what was your kind of thoughts on Dele Alli leaving to go to Everton?
Oh, it hurt. You're right. He had to go. It was needed, and there's a reason why the deal was structured as it was. You know, we're getting a certain amount of money based on his appearances, and that in itself tells you how much the value of him has dropped. For me, I don't want to go into it too much. I feel like his level dropped when the squad was pulling apart. You know, if it's when you're losing Walker, when you're losing Trips, when Rose has fallen off it, the squad wasn't evolving, and naturally it was hard for him to evolve. So, like you say, it was the right time for him to go. I think. It was the right decision, and it did hurt, but I don't know. You look at it and you just think as well, even with the other lot, like how would it have worked had he stayed? You know, this is what I'm saying, like what Josh is saying there, like it's a tough one, because I feel like he will get minutes at Everton. Lampard will give him a chance, and we will get some of that money back. But maybe you're right. Maybe we should have had some money fixed on it. But yeah, I mean, we could have cashed in. We could have cashed in prime Dele Alli and got 50 million, you know, but... You know,
I mean, that's another conversation in itself, so I won't get too much into the board. But again, it's being reactive rather than proactive, and that's the thing that infuriates me. The best time he should have gone was obviously those rumours when he was supposed to be going on loan to PSG. That would have been excellent, because he would have been in the shop window, he would have been reunited with Poch, but there we go. We're obviously not in the right place being the head of the board, so it doesn't really matter. But that was probably the best thing for me.
Just to say, what do you think? So with Ali, do you think we should have loaned him and maybe given it maybe one more chance to see if it could work, or do you think it was the right thing, just let him go?
I think, like you say, I think that loan, especially to PSG, was perfect. To anyone else, I would have sold him. But because it was PSG, reuniting with Poch in a league would suit him because of his tricks and flicks, I think it would have been the best thing we would have done. But yeah, it didn't work out, obviously. But if it was to be anyone else, I probably would have just cut my losses and sold him, because again, a couple of season down the line, his price is halved again. So it's just the fact we're not proactive, we're just reactive. But we'll leave that for another day. But obviously, we've spoken about Wolves, given your intake kind of on your transfers. Let's move on to, obviously, I hate to do it, but the City game. That is obviously coming up for the weekend. Now, I know City are high flying at the moment. They've obviously beaten Brentford. They've beaten Norwich. They have a game tomorrow. I think it's against Sporting Lisbon. I could be wrong. I might not have done my homework properly. But they do have a game tomorrow, which they'll probably walk. But that means they have one game to get over before they play us. Do you think that's really going to make much difference? Or am I being really optimistic?
Oh, I think you're being a bit optimistic. I think with City have probably got the most in-depth squad in the world. personally, I was saying this recently that, they let Ferran Torres go and it was no issue. Imagine just letting a player like that go and not having to bring someone else in to, that's how in depth their squad is. They've got so much. So I think the Champions League game won't really make much of a difference because they could just change it up. I think the only thing in our favour is the record we've got at the Etihad. We go to the Etihad and we have been fearless, Champions League, again, we've had, I think when they met, when we got the 2-2 draw, the Lucas header, like we there's something about us playing City, which is weird because on paper it's always scary. But even under Nuno earlier this season, we beat him first game of the season. Do you know what I mean? Like, but again, that what comes into that is first game of the season, everyone's off it because they've just come back. So was it that? Was it not? I think if we can come out of it with a draw, we'll be laughing big time. But I don't know. Again, maybe Conte has a trick up his sleeve, but I'm not going into it full of confidence based on the past 2 games and how much City are flying at the minute.
I think that's probably the best way to look at it. I mean, like Alan says, if we continue with this 3-4-3, I know he's not trying to be stubborn, but he's got to switch it out. The third time, it's not going to work for the third time in a row, you'd like to think. But again, like you said, we're kind of City's bogey team in the sense we could do the double over them. Get beaten by Southampton, get beaten by Wolves, and then beat City. It would just be a Spursy thing to do in the sense that we 100%. Should have beaten Saints. I know I hate Saints, but we should have beaten Saints. We should have beaten Wolves when it mattered. And then really when we don't have that game in hand over Arsenal, we go and beat City. It would just be sod's law, wouldn't it, really?
Tottenham in a nutshell. Could not have said it better, honestly.
So how do you think that he will be stubborn, Conte? I know we're not mind readers, but do you think he will switch it up, knowing that obviously it's twice now that 3 at the back and wing backs just hasn't worked because we don't have the reliability of those 2 positions?
I think, and Kev, that's a good point. Yeah, we did lose that. We did lose that one. Yeah, it was the goal different. Yeah, because we won the game 1-0. Anyway, yeah. No, I think Conte loves that formation. That is the Conte formation. That is that's what works for him. So I think, yeah, Josh has got a great point there. Against Liverpool, we were fantastic, honestly. I come out of that game, again, we could have been like 3-0 up. When Dele Alli was clean through do you know what I mean? Like, that's a system that works. So why don't we try that again? It's worth trying something, but again, it's a matter of whether he tries any system. Maybe he just looks at that squad and says there are so many players in it that I'm given no choice but to try this system. So it almost deflates the potential scoreline. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Yeah, just 100%, Josh. Yeah, it is. Again, that's where the beauty was in with Skip. Skip was not on the creativity level, but it was on the level where he was keeping the ball, he was carrying forward, and he would try and play it forward. But our most important thing against City is just being a solid unit. And if we haven't got Skip back, I don't see us being I'm big in Skip up way too much here, but I don't see us being a solid unit. So, again, what we were saying about Kulu earlier? We could try him in that attacking midfield role. Why not? There's a lot left of the season, so why not experiment? Because right now we've literally got nothing to lose, honestly.
100%, and that's the thing. I think we obviously were bigging up the fact that we had all these games in hands, and they've kind of dwindled away now. So we need to try and sort something out quick rather than later. So why not just throw everything into the mix? Kev says we are consistent in our inconsistency. That's our DNA. I mean, that is a great way to put it.
You know what? That should be on our shirt. It shouldn't be all the Es Facera to Darius to do or whatever. It should be we are consistent in our consistency. That honestly, you could not have put it better, literally.
But yeah, hopefully we do. I think that's the thing, because obviously I think it was really strange, that Wolves game, because it felt like we didn't try and sit off them, but we somehow did, because we got swamped in the middle. Maybe going at City rather than sitting off a little bit, that probably is the way forward, if that makes sense. Not allowing them to overrule us in midfield. Do you think that'll be the key to possibly getting a point or winning the game? Is just sort out that midfield. I mean, I know we've already spoken about it, but lots of people are saying it's not necessarily the wing backs, although we've spoken about it. It is that midfield unit.
I'm with you. I think if you want to have any chance against City, you've got to go at them. If you're going to sit back, they'll break you down. It's Man City. They've got so much quality. You know, they're not going to start Sterling. They'll start Mahrez. Not going to start Mahrez. They'll start Grealish. They've got so much in there. So we've got to go at them. We've got to go at them. And I know we're away from home, but why not? It works. And I mean, they are breakable. You know, I think Palace beat them earlier this season, or maybe it was a draw. Southampton got the draw with them as well. And again, Southampton, as we've seen, especially when they come to us, they were at them. They were going at them, and that's what we need to do. We've got this quality for it, and if we, the most important thing is if we concede, we don't let our heads drop. We just keep going at it. We don't switch off, because I tell you, after that goal went in the Wolves game, the heads dropped, and then that was it. And then we let Wolves come at us. As I say, it could have been 3-4-0 at some point. Do you know what I mean? So it's making sure we try something. We don't sit back. You know, we press them as well. You've got to press them. That was our best football, pressing them, honestly. So yeah, definitely.
That's the thing I've noticed recently with our press. It's all over the place. You've got Lucas Moura charging down the ball, and then there's no one slotting in behind to get the second press. And it's like, what is the point of pressing if you're not going to all follow up? And I think, again, that's the unity in the midfield. It's just not there, is it, really?
Definitely, yeah. You need to have everyone on the same wavelength, and if you've got one player pressing, then it's pointless, because you just give the ball to another player and that's it. So, yeah, 100%.
I mean, I'm gonna fizz you over, obviously, a score prediction. Now, I'm awful at score predictions because I jinx us. I mean, it shouldn't really be a thing. But if you were to right now, before they've played their Champions League game, like you said, because they'll just rotate this team anyway, what would you really say that we're going to come out at the end of the game? What would your score prediction be?
Oh, do you know what? I get asked score predictions all the time on my videos. It's dangerous giving score predictions, and I'll sum this up really quickly. So I was in Russia during the England-Croatia game. I was asked what I think the score will be, and I said 2-1 England extra time. So for me, that lives with me. That I'm cursed. So if you want being cursed with score predictions, that's being cursed. Just for this, I will give a score prediction, because do you know what? I will say. I'll say 1-1, and that's been extremely optimistic, because Darren is, you know what? Darren's probably on the right wavelength there, to be honest. I think
that only ever happens to Southampmpton, so I don't want to be in the same bracket as that.
Oh, honestly, but then Southampton have beat us, so you know it can even be worse. You know, yeah, I'll be positive and I'll say 1-1, because again, I still think it's very early days and Conte could have anything up his sleeve. And if we have Dyer and Skip back, we're in better stead than we are. Yeah, Alex, mate, I know, honestly, I know. This is why I don't like giving predictions, honestly.
I was going to say, it makes me slightly feel better, because I'm exactly the same. I am like the biggest jinx. So I think a 1-1 is a fairly good result, in the sense that obviously we're definitely going to concede because it's Spurs. But like I said, I think we've got a chance against them, because like I said, even under Nuno, we managed to get obviously 3 points of them. So who knows at the end of the day. But Connor, I want to say thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm not sure where Ryan went, but hey ho, there we go. You've done an excellent job coming on for your first time. So thank you so much. Where can everybody kind of find you doing your thing, and what do you do as well? Tell the world.
Sweet. No, thanks for having me. Yeah, so I make most of my videos on TikTok, which was weird because I sort of said I never would do it, and I did. Yeah, so my TikTok handle on TikTok is CT's McLovin. So should I type it in? It might be easier.
You can fizz it in the chat if you want to. If you go to comments,
okay,
so fizz it in the chat.
That's my TikTok handle, and then I do have a YouTube that is basically my TikTok videos. As you see, I do some sort of. I've taken a lot of inspiration from what away days used to be, and I do videos like that. But then I do also talk about Spurs football in general. So I'll just pop that there. So let me just do that. Hold on a minute. Yeah. So basically, I'll talk about Spurs. I'll do vlogs at the games. So you can find me on there. I'll talk. Yeah, I'm usually. I'll tell you what. If we'd done this yesterday, I probably would have been more riled up. I think we've just got to go in against City. Again, not scared. We can't be. You know, we've got to offer something. So
Yeah, definitely. But no, like I say, like I stumbled across your TikToks and things, and I was like, actually, he sounds like a sound bloke. Let's get him on. Let's talk about Tottenham. And like you say, it's good to have a good therapy session, and that's why for the first time ever yesterday, I did a watch long, and I am never doing one again because I think I called everyone eggs about 50 times doing it. So it was not great. But I want to say a big thank you once again, and thanks to everybody in the chat as well. John, appreciate you, man. Thank you for the support with the super chat tonight. You didn't have to, but I really appreciate it. So thank you so much. And to everybody else that has been in the chat tonight. Hopefully this time next week, when I have the likes of, who have I got on next week? Vicky Hazard, Patrick, there's someone else coming on as well, but I'll fizz that up later in the week to talk about the City game. And like Connor said, hopefully we're talking about a draw and maybe 3 points, but that might be being slightly optimistic. But until next time, guys, come on, you Spurs.
See you guys.